Welcome back to Houston Newsmakers, where I'm joined now by Danny Signorelli, President and CEO of the Signorelli Company, Larry Nettles, partner with Vincent and Elkins, whose specialty is environmental law. Good morning to both of you. Danny, tell me about your company.
Happy to. First, Cambrell, I want to thank you for having us on the show this morning.
Oh, you're welcome.
Excited to be here. My company, I founded it 27 years ago. Signorelli Company, we're unique in the development world in that we have divisions in expertise. We develop every single asset class found in master plan communities. And our MO is we'll go to areas that are green. It's not the popular place to be, as that's where we had to start when we were a small company without much of a balance sheet. And we'll go out and create those communities, and we've developed the retail, the multifamily, all the quality of life conveniences.
Is that what you mean when you talk about the assets that go along with it?
Yes, sir. So think Cinco Ranch, Sienna Plantation, these types of communities, they have all these different moving parts, and all of it's what makes master plan. It's live, work, play, and that's what we do for a living.
So master planning is the thing. The property you've purchased in Fort Bend, you're calling Austin Point.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that you envision it being like the Valley Ranch property that you purchased. And we have this. This is 2004. You can see inside the outline, there's really nothing there. There's trees.
Nothing. That's right.
And that's when you bought it for. And then 2021, there's a lot more in there. And what is different is 99, the Grand Parkway runs right across the top of that thing.
That's exactly.
Somehow I get the sense you may have known that it was coming. I don't know that, that was part of the reason you bought that particular property.
You know, it started off with buying a small piece there that was a tax foreclosure. But yes, the Grand Parkway had been planned to go through that area since the 1960s. It wasn't a funded project, so to speak. It was years later that the road became a real road. But yeah, we'd planned for the future and hope for the best.
So the Valley Ranch picture of 2022, is this kind of how you envision the Austin Point area to be that you're now planning to do down in Fort Bend County?
That's right. So Valley Ranch has a lot of the critical components that we expect in Austin Point. We see Austin Point as kind of a Valley Ranch on steroids, though, because it is 4,700 acres compared to 1,400 acres.
Okay, great. Now, when did you purchase the Fort Bend property? And because of where you saw the intended path of the Grand Parkway, is that why you purchased that land?
It's a critical piece. We bought it because of the future mobility projects, the location of the intersections, and we bought it because it's in Fort Bend County, second fastest growing county in America for quite some time.
And I know that some of the video we have of that land is just broad, it's open. Right now, a lot of cows occupy it. But that's kind of what your stuff looks like when you first buy it.
It goes back to we're not scared to pioneer. We'll go to areas where it's not an obvious win, and we're in a fortunate position to where we'll go to work. We'll start creating small synergies and make things happen.
So I saw a graphic of where the expected property is going to be in that area. All that video showed just broad area, but this is what your company sent to me, and it shows in the yellow is a Fort Bend toll road that's going to plan to go through there, and then the red is the Grand Parkway that you expect to go through there. And at some point or another, that's where the bone of contention comes in, because of George Foundation says that intersection should be on their property, and that's where you come in, isn't it a little bit, Larry? You kind of brought on to advise this company about how to deal with that?
Yes, we were told that it had to be on the George Foundation property because there was an exhibit in the environmental impact statement that showed it in that location. But I was brought on to take a look at those claims, and the Fort Bend Parkway toll road is not mentioned anywhere in the Grand Parkway EIS, and that interchange is not described anywhere, and indeed there's not any mention of the impacts to Dutch John Creek that would occur. So the first thing I did was confirm that there's no reason that it has to be located directly on the George Ranch property, and indeed the EIS and the record of decision both say in more than 36 places that the final alignment will be adjusted during the final design process to address site-specific environmental impacts.
So what's EIS stand for? The
Environmental Impact Statement.
Okay.
It's a prerequisite to a major federal project.
Okay, so I will tell you that the George Foundation tells me that their expectation would be that it would not go over what you call Dutch John Creek. Is that the name?
That's the name of it.
Yeah, so they said it didn't go through there. It goes through somewhere else on their property. But either way, they wanted to be on their property. Where do you think this is settling out? Now, right now, as it stands right now, is it going across your property? as it stands right now, as far as we know?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the foundation had that intersection moved on their property 2 months after I closed. And over the last 2 years of discussions and back and forth, the Commissioners Court bipartisan unanimously voted to put the intersection back on our property for the benefit of Fort Bend County.
So you just said something. You said the foundation had it moved. Do we know that to be the case?
Yes.
And so is that somewhere in the record that they requested and they got it moved?
That is in the record, yes.
Okay. So we'll look at that and we'll make sure that that's available for people to see as well. I know at some point in time the county said, hey, can you guys kind of work together and come up with some sort of compromise?
That's correct.
And I talked to the George Foundation CEO about that as well. What was your involvement in that? Did you?
I was heavily involved.
Yeah.
And active in trying to come up with solutions. With the Commissioner's request that we both present to the Toll Road Authority, our reasons why the intersection would be best served for the county to be located on these individual properties. And also they requested that we both present a compromise. We both did this. This is about September of 2020, so this is a long time ago. My project is on hold while we're trying to figure this out, mind you. But we presented why it's best on our property, and there's a long list of reasons why, but we also presented a compromise, which they declined.
So the compromise, it never moved forward from that point?
No, they said no.
Have you seen anything like this before in your practice of doing things like this? You've been at it for a while.
Well, I work on a lot of projects, and there are often disagreements about where a project should go. And I've permitted many projects, and one thing I do know is that you cannot build the interchange on the location where the George Foundation exhibit says it should be, because it's directly on top of Dutch John Creek and in a floodplain. And the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers regulations require a permit before placing any fill into jurisdictional waters of the United States. And if you go apply for a Corps of Engineers permit, the first thing the Corps of Engineers always says is there a reasonable alternative to your project that would not result in the destruction of wetlands? And here, there is a reasonable alternative that will not result in the destruction of wetlands.
Well, again, I will tell you that the George Foundation, people say that their plan does not go. So that's one of those scenarios where you say this and they say that. I'm just saying what they say.
Cambrell, you look for yourself at their exhibit and see where their proposed location is. Just do that for yourself.
I'm going to have that on the program. We got a lot more to talk about because I want to find out more about my, my future retirement home. Well, Danny Signorelli, Larry Nettles, thank you. We're going to do Newsmakers Extra, continue our conversation. There's more to talk about. You stay with us on both sides of this. We hope that this gets worked out some way, shape, or form. You got a project on hold, Fort Bend Foundation. So we want to get this resolved. We're going to sing some verses of Kumbaya before it's all said.